Hello to everybody. I'm quite honored and I thank very much Alessandro Novazio and Tenere for inviting me to participate in this Stati Generali della Psicadelia Italiana. My presentation shall be in English as my Italian would be dantesque in the worst way. What I'm going to tell you, probably some of you just heard it at Noceto last year, but I shall present just a short version. Let us see then and begin with it. So my presentation shall talk about the potential of altered state and expanded states of consciousness with special reference to clinical hypnosis. The theme of altered state and expanded states of consciousness has been now treated in the last years with a lot of research and investigation, and books are coming, a lot of articles, and now it's really something that one should take in account, because these states of consciousness can be really a good tool for psychotherapy and for a new psychiatry. What are these states of consciousness? It's when we feel a change in our perception of the environment and of ourselves, and even other people knows that we are working inside in another way, unusual. And we are unusually connected, these states and the self and the perception of surrounding. And of course, there is as well a kind of conscious and non-conscious information processing. And it comes then to a kind of distortion in our thought, but it can be something that we can learn about these issues and what's coming in our mind. Of course, I should say here something about an aspect. They can be pathological. And as Cronbach said, if they occur intentionally, dominant form in everyday life, they avoid proper solutions to everyday life. And when in your experience, there are no cognitive or social structures to deal with these states of consciousness. A lot of ways are available to induce these states of consciousness. Chemical means, physical resources, sensory overload, sensory deprivation, but I shall put a point on psychological. Just some examples of what I've said. Ayahuasca, it's well known for altering consciousness, but the mushroom, the magic mushrooms, or other mushrooms, dance, and even drum, playing with drum, or even using plants, all of them, you know, what we can have from claviceps purpurea, LSD, cannabis, or even from Lophophora williamsi, mescaline. Now, let's come to the point. What is hypnosis? It's a state of consciousness. That's important to underline, that hypnosis is a state of consciousness where we are focused with full attention, and the peripheral perception around us, it's some kind, it's diminished in its criticism. So we are not putting so much attention in what's going around, but what we are listening to the therapist. And one is more, there is a more ability to respond to suggestions. To put it clear, where are we? We are in this kind of somnolence. We are not awake, but we are not sleeping. We are just here between. It's a twilight state. And in this state, one can listen to the voice, we can talk about what we are having in our mind, in our consciousness. This is a kind of somnolence where we work and where we can induce these states of consciousness. I'm going to talk about expanded states of consciousness. And to put it clear in this very old cartography, some of you know from yoga, we can divide it in four worlds. The first world, that is outside me, what I got from my eyes, from my ears. So around, you can out, and my senses are capturing the reality. The world two are my thoughts. They are a little how closed. So they only come out if I talk about them. And the world three is more closed still. It's the world of dreams. Very, very narrow to go out. One must wake people at the time they are dreaming to know something about what they are dreaming. And there is a kind of veil that we go through. We go just beyond the veil using altered states of consciousness. This is what really some historians are talking about Maya, the veil. And these states of consciousness are really going behind and beyond the veil to the world four. Let's begin with the first I'm talking about. Memories of a positive future. Is it possible to have memories of a positive future? It seems that inside our brain, in using this kind of means like hypnosis, we can make a time travel and even go for a future where we can have our avatar, where we can have, let us say, the best of ourselves to have a future, a positive future where we see the success, and even we can have testimonies of our success, family and friends. It is possible. Peak experience. Peak experience are very similar to some religious experiences where there is a difficulty to talk about. It's a kind of revelation. There are no words to talk about it. Sometimes we feel a fusion with the universe. There is no time. There is no space. There is a kind of a sacredness in this experience, and it is possible to induce it in the consultory room with hypnosis. Like this, that happened in Medjugorje or in Garabandal, or even the experiences that Teresa de Avila had. I produced it in my praxis, in my consultory room. He was a priest. It was easier for those that have some kind of knowledge about it. Near-death experiences. Near-death experience, I'm doing a lot of research on the subject using hypnosis, and not only producing it for one people, but in workshops for more than 80 people. And I'm succeeded to do it in more than 80% of the people undergoing this process. There is a kind of near-death experience where the first part is out-of-body experience. The second, the people is seeing a tunnel, and then an encounter with the light, and then they come back. This representation is very old, and this is from the 15th century, from a painting, very, very old, from Hieronymus Bosch. And the things I've been talking about, they were represented just at that time. It's really very easy to induce it. And of course, strange it can be, during these sessions, we can even produce paranormal phenomenology. So we can put people very away from a place where one is looking for a photo or even for this landscape. And in another place far away from that person, there is some other one that is capturing in his inner consciousness what he is sending. This is a kind of experience that has been done some years ago, even in the States, from the secret services. I took it from those reports. Of course, that is not the only thing that we can attain with this kind of procedure. There is very easy during the session telepathy and the therapist and the patient. he can know something about me that I never thought, and vice versa. Or even seeing what's happening very, very far away from there. That is clairvoyance. Psychokinesis has not yet, unfortunately, for those that go to the casino for playing, is not yet happened. And there is as well something strange. There are experiments in hypnosis. We can do it that support the hypothesis of physical dead survival. Of course, here I must say that the limits of this procedure are the imagination of both the patient and the therapist. So we go in a memory regression to a point where probably one can go behind the womb, behind the first cell, and even gain access to a supposed past life. And one of those really investigated it very deep was Ian Stevenson. And once he was asked, Jan, do you believe in reincarnation? And he said, well, the physical marks present strong evidence. And then the silence. He wrote a very big book with really a lot of facts where he writes about it. And of course, people having access to this past life experience afterwards, they shall look in books or in history, in archives, what is true and what is false about their experiences. What's strange as well is the contact with deceased ones. Some people claim that they can contact, and I have really been doing it when asked, and I told them that it's impossible to talk to someone deceased. Even there are some books, very good, written about the subject, because then I tell them, well, if you accept that I'm putting you in contact with the imago of the person you wanted to contact, it's a mental image that you know the person. You know how would she react. You know even the emotions. Then, okay, I put you in contact with that imago. And it works. It's strange, but they can get revelations and even some accounts from the other side that they really get impressed and even change their faith in some subjects. In summary, are we creating a strictly subjective virtual reality? Most probably. Is it a metaphor of the unconscious? Well, most probably. Are we projecting our personal myths? But personal myths are important as the myths of the peoples. They have to build their culture, their history. Probably we need as well our personal myths. Or, that's important, the question. Are we assessing to another reality that we cannot touch yet? Or we do not have the right instrumentation to assess it? Are we assessing another reality which is or can be intersubjective? It means that other people can have access and even notice things that we are noticing as well. It can be. So, with these doubts, I finish my lecture and just putting this photo showing that we are really in a strange kind of balance that we really must take in account and not reject all these things that I've been talking to you. Thank you for your attention, and I shall be here most probably for some questions. Thank you. Bye-bye.